Hello everyone. From the last two videos, I am talking about the different types of the fruit present in the angiospermic plant or flowering plant. We have already discussed two subtype of the simple dry fruit, that is dehiscent fruit and indehiscent fruit. Now in this video, we will going to focus on next type of the fruit, that is fleshy fruit. So, simple fruit is generally divided into two types as dry fruit and fleshy fruit. Okay, we can define simple fruit as fruit produced from mono or polycarpillary but syncarpous ovary. That means if the flower contains polycarpillary ovary, all the carpels must be united, and such type of flower after reproduction give rise to simple type of fruit. And simple fruit generally show two subtypes, that is dry fruit and fleshy fruit. In case of dry fruit, fruit show thin and dry pericarp or the fruit wall after maturity. And in case of fleshy fruit, the fruit have thick and fleshy pericarp after maturity. So this is the basic difference which is present in between dry fruit and fleshy fruit. Now if the dry fruit break after maturity, it is called as dehiscent fruit. We have already discussed about the 10 different type of the dehiscent fruit. And if the fruit remain intact or the pericarp remain intact after maturity, it is called as indehiscent fruit. And we have discussed 5 different type of indehiscent fruit in my previous videos. Now we will going to talk about the 4 subtype of the fleshy fruit in this video. The first type of the fleshy fruit, which is important one, is drupe. The second type is berries. Third is pepo, and the last is pome. So I'm going to focus on these 4 types in this video. Okay, so the first is drupe. The drupe type of the fleshy fruit is produced from monocarpillary superior ovary. That means ovary should be monocarpillary. It has single carpel, and the position of the ovary should be superior in the flower. That means ovary is at the top position in the flower, and all other floral, that is calyx, corolla, and roscium, originate or inserted below the ovary. Such ovary is called as superior ovary. So monocarpillary superior ovary after fertilization produce drupe type of fruit, and the fruit wall or pericarp in this type of fruit is divided into 3 parts. So pericarp show 3 different parts. Number 1 is epicarp, which is generally thin, and this epicarp of the fruit forms the protective covering or skin of the fruit. Then the second part of the pericarp in this type of fruit is mesocarp, which is generally thick, fleshy, juicy, and this is the main edible part in drupe type of fruit. Okay, so remember that mesocarp is the main edible portion in drupe type of fruit, and the last part of the pericarp is endocarp, and in this type of fruit it is hard and stony. Okay, and due to the endocarp, the drupe is also called as stony fruit. Okay, so other name of the drupe is stony fruit, and the well-known examples of the drupe is almond, dates, mango. If we take example or as a representative example of the mango, then we can find, if this is the mango fruit, then the fruit have outer epicarp, which is protective covering of the fruit. Then the middle portion, which is the main edible part, is mesocarp, and the innermost part is endocarp. Now the endocarp enclosed generally single seed. Okay, so the characteristic example or important example of the drupe is mango. Then next type of the fruit is berries. It is produced from mono or polycarpillary syncarpous superior or inferior ovary. So the ovary should be mono or polycarpillary. That means ovary sometimes contain many carpels, but they are fused. That means syncarpous condition. And the position of ovary may be superior or inferior in the flower. And such type of ovary, after fertilization, produce berries type of the fruit. Okay. Now the berry is also called as bacca. So another name of the berry type of fruit is bacca. And in this type of fruit, seeds are arranged in axile placentation. We have already discussed about different type of the placentation, and in the berries, seeds show axile placentation. Then the fruit is generally have three different parts, that is epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp, out of which epicarp is thin and membranous, while the meso and endocarp unite and they form main edible part of the fruit. Okay, so in this case, in case of drupe, the main edible part is mesocarp of the fruit, while in case of berries, main edible part is meso and endocarp. Okay, now there are two different types of the berries on the basis of which part we generally eat. Okay, so first type of the berry is superior berry, and the second type is inferior berry. In case of superior berry, all three parts, that is epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp of the fruits are edible. So all three parts are edible in this type of berries. And example of the superior berry is guava, tomato, brinjal, etc. So there are various examples which you can find in the book. Okay, so the important is guava, tomato, brinjal. Then in case of inferior berry, the fruit show one or two parts which are non-edible. So one or two parts of the fruits are non-edible. So it is called as inferior type of berry, and example is papaya. Okay, then banana. In case of both this type of fruit, generally we do not eat skin or outer covering, that is epicarp in banana as well as in papaya. We only eat meso and endocarp. So one part of the fruit, that is epicarp, is non-edible. So both this type of fruit come under inferior berries. Okay. The next type of the fruit, that is pepo. In some book, they have given pepo as a special type of the berries. Okay, but in this video, I am going to discuss pepo as a separate one. Okay, so it is produced from polycarpillary syncarpous inferior ovary. Okay. Berries are produced from polycarpillary syncarpous superior or inferior ovary. But in case of Pepo, ovary is always inferior. That means all other floral oral arise from top of the ovary. Ovary is present below the calyx, corolla and androecium. So it is called as inferior ovary. The seed in this type of fruit show parietal placentation. Okay. In case of berries, it is axial placentation, while in case of pepo, it is parietal placentation. And all three parts of the fruit wall is edible. Okay, along with seed. That means the pericarp of the pepo, that is epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. All three parts of the pericarp is edible along with the seed. And Cucurbitaceae family generally show pepo type of the fruit. So, well-known example of this fruit is cucumber, then watermelon, pumpkin, etc. Okay. The last type of the fleshy type of fruit is pome. Pome is also called as false fruit. Why we call it as a false fruit? I have already discussed about the two type of the fruit, that is true fruit and false fruit. Only if ovary take part in the fruit formation process, such fruit is called as true fruit. And if along with the ovary, any other floral parts involved in the fruit formation process, then that case fruit become false fruit. Okay, so pome is an example of false fruit. In this case, along with the ovary, other floral oral like calyx, corolla, or thalamus take part in the fruit formation process. Generally, pome is produced from polycarpillary syncarpous inferior ovary. So both pepo and pome is produced from same type of ovary. Polycarpillary ovary have multiple carpels, but they are fused. So syncarpous and ovary is inferior in position, and all other floral oral generally present above the ovary. So this type of ovary produce pome type of the fruit. And the example of the pome is apple, pear, etc. Now, if we draw the apple, in that case, now suppose this is the apple, okay, transverse section, and now the middle portion of the apple shows seeds, and this is the actual fruit. Okay, and the outer covering that we normally eat is nothing but the thalamus. That means at the time of apple formation, the thalamus or receptacle of the flower grow around the ovary. After fertilization, ovary remain at the center, and now the thalamus form actual edible part in case of apple. So it become false fruit. The part of the apple which we normally eat is nothing but the thalamus, and actual fruit remain at the center, okay, where seeds are present. So apple and pear is important example of the pome, which is nothing but the false fruit. So in this video, we have discussed about the four important type of the fleshy fruit, that is drupe, berries or bacca, pepo and pome, out of which the example of drupe is almond, date, mango, cherries. Okay, then example of the berries is generally superior berry is guava, tomato, brinjal, grapes. All these are the example of the superior berry, while the example of inferior berry is papaya, banana. Then example of the pepo is cucumber, watermelon, pumpkin, and the example of pome is apple and pear, which is nothing but the false fruit. So this is all about the second type of the simple fruit, that is fleshy fruit. Thank you.